Hey everybody, I'm Captain Kyle.
Scotty B.
I am the Transformers guy.
And I'm the Lego guy.
So it's a perfect marriage of two different, fandom toy things. So we're gonna go through this guy, all the accessories, everything, and see if it fits into your collection, whether you're a Lego enthusiast or a Transformers fan. Be right back. All right, so Scott, you are the Lego guy. Tell me about this Lego kit.
Well, it is 1,508 pieces, retails for $169.99, and as a Lego person, I think it's fantastic. I'm very impressed with the build. It was a lot of fun to put together, and you get a lot of cool little accessories with it, a little bit of a bio in the manual about Optimus Prime himself and the creator of the set. And we have a cat.
And sometimes Sky jumps in. So how long did it take for you to build this thing?
I put it together usually when I build Lego sets, I kind of watch on TV something that's related to it. So I watched the episode of The Toys That Made Us, which covered the Transformers, and the Lego episode, and then about 5 episodes of the Transformers cartoon from 1984.
More than meets the eye.
Yes. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to put together. It was a pretty quick build for a 1,500 piece set, but like most Lego sets, when I build them, I'm always kind of in awe of how they engineer stuff. Like I think to myself, like, how did they even think to do this in the first place? And this has kind of a number of those little things about it, especially when it goes into the transform mode. So very happy with it overall.
And it's got a little Optimus Prime with his tech spec ratings on there. Little plaque at the Autobot symbol, little gray picture of Optimus, so it's kind of neat. These are the tech specs from his actual original toy.
Very cool.
So how long did you say it took?
Oh, I'm sorry. I would say I probably nailed it down in about 4 hours, 3.5 to 4 hours it took me to go through it, and I sat down and did it in one build.
So for someone who is not as much of a Lego aficionado.
If you're not as familiar with the bricks, when you build enough Lego, you kind of understand what to look for in the instructions, and you see the pieces and you get an idea of what you're going to be needing. It goes pretty quick, but I'd say for an average person, you could probably expect 4 to 5 hours it would take you to put this thing together from start to finish.
All right, and that's gonna happen. And if you wanna see me do it as a speed build, please let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm just gonna embarrass myself without being taped. But you said Energon cube. So Scott was not familiar with the Energon cubes until he watched the show.
I should say that's very true. I'm not as well versed in Transformers. I watched them a bit as a kid, but my Transformers knowledge primarily comes from me asking him questions about it. So he's explaining things to me on this as well.
So Energon cubes made by the Decepticons to store the stolen energy of Earth, and it's a cool homage. I can see it's made up of multiple bricks, and it does have the classic Lego, little circles on the bottom, but smooth on the top, which is cool.
And we've got his little axe here.
Energon axe for on top of, what was the dam? Was it Sherman Dam? Something like that, where he fought against Megatron, and it's like he pulled out the axe, Megatron pulled out the energy ball and chain. Not quite a mace, because I think a mace doesn't have the chain. A flail. He had an energy flail. But yeah,
so
this is
flailing
cool.
About.
Absolutely, Megatron always flails about. And retreats! But yes, there we go with the axe. So.
And then this one other piece, which I'm not sure, they give you 2 different bumper options for the front. And I'm not sure if it's something to do with the G1 or the generation of Transformers, or if it's to do it cartoon-wise versus the
Well, it may
toy.
be, here I have an actual G1 Optimus, and maybe this is kind of like the toy or the more realistic version. That could be more of a
Maybe the
animated cartoon version.
Yeah, that's...
So this is the piece that is not cartoony, and
on his belt.
Tip him a little bit so you can see there is the cartoony bumper. So he also has an accessory, a couple accessories which he's already carrying. One is his rifle, which you also have to assemble. It doesn't come pre-assembled, right?
No, it doesn't. Everything with Lego, you build. The Energon axe, you have to build. The Energon cube, you have to build. It all is individual Lego pieces you put together, and the gun is no exception. And I thought it was really clever the way they did it, because they use, when you can remove it, his hands don't grip very well. So you have a couple of studs right here that this will snap onto. So you can put it on and hold it in place and it'll stick. But if you look at it, it looks pretty close to his gun in the toy.
So here is the Lego version, and this is the actual G1 gun. I mean, some differences, it doesn't have the handle that he can't actually hold as a G1. But yeah, there are those little Lego piece so you can actually stick it on. That's kind of cool. And yeah, very, very similar. And I can feel that you can turn this a little bit.
And that's just the design with the pieces, the way that they're held together. And that's a pretty typical thing for Lego. And then, of course, the best feature, which is something that I was very excited. Well, before I get to that, one other thing. He does have on his backside the like a rocket pack. And I don't know if that is something that the G1 had. Did he have a rocket pack?
He didn't have a rocket pack in the More Than Meets the Eye. He borrows the rocket pack from Sideswipe in the cartoon, puts it on. So a lot of times they will give him a rocket pack so he can fly after the Decepticon ship that's escaping and utterly fail and have Mirage bail him out. So, you know.
And then the one other thing about him is, if we'll turn him around, his chest opens up like that to reveal
the Matrix.
The Matrix. And that fits in there really nice. And let's see if I can do it blind. I think I can. And it fits right in, and then that closes up. And then the best part, my favorite, was the fact that this actually transforms as it exists. There's not pieces you have to do a lot of removal with the exception of his rocket pack in the back.
Which isn't his anyway.
True. He did borrow that. So he just take it off and give it back, but that comes off. And then after that, it's a pretty cool transformation. You lift this part up, give him a twist, and this is probably the Achilles heel of this set. Is there's one round piece that holds the top of his chest to the torso, and it just kind of pushes down. It is easy at times to separate that where it comes off. That's not a huge deal, and there's not much I don't think Lego could have done to sort of reinforce that, but you do have to be a little careful when you transform him. But after you turn him around, his head rolls back, just like the Transformer, if I'm not mistaken. You give him a bend right here, and then that falls off. His arms come up, his hands go downward.
I have to take mine off.
And that's pretty cool that they did it that way. These roll back, and then the arms just
beat you, but you know.
I got to be a little careful not to have pieces fall off. But so you can kind of see there, his hands tuck up underneath, and then this just rolls back down and flattens out. And these pieces are a little bit easy to fall off. They just snap on in the one space there. But roll these back, and I've also noticed that his taillight pieces here on the feet are a little bit easy to fall out. And just like the Transformer, you push the legs together to give it kind of a more rigid structure there.
Though the G1, they actually don't snap together. They just move together.
Here he is in all of his truck glory, which I guess you could say is semi-cool, but it looks fantastic. I think in a truck form, it looks great. And this is one of those things I was talking about with Lego, is when I build, I'm just amazed that somebody was able to engineer this and come up with the ways to make it transform very similarly to the way the G1 did. And I think it looks great in both rollback form and in truck form.
Right. The main difference is this does not twist. The original G1 doesn't twist the waist. It's a nice feature that he actually twists around, because on the G1, his wheels are exposed on either side. Here, when he's in robot mode, they're kind of a little bit hidden by the legs, which I think is cool. Makes it a little bit cooler. I just want to bring this into frame on our close-up cam so you can see the difference in size. This thing is obviously huge, though, you know, the cat's still a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think it's definitely a cool set. And he rolls pretty
Yeah.
nicely. That's
They don't, and this is kind of true of a lot of Lego vehicles, they don't have steering, which is totally fine. I mean, that's a whole other level of engineering they'd have to do into it. But,
this one doesn't have steering either.
Yeah. But I think, like I said, in truck form, it looks great. In robot form, it looks great. And you're working with Lego, and these are very specifically shaped pieces that they've collected and figured out a way to put them together and make a transforming robot. I'm very blown away by it. As a Transformers guy, what do you think in terms of that?
I'm actually quite impressed. I know Hasbro put out their Creo stuff, but a lot of it I think was, you assemble it into the vehicle and then you have to take it apart to put it back together. To be honest, I haven't used a lot of the Creo stuff. I have a little Creo Optimus Prime figure, but that's about it. I think I got it at BotCon. But yeah, this is very impressive, the way they got it to transform, and it looks good. I mean, obviously in vehicle mode, it's not perfect. It's got, but then again, it is Lego, so.
And likewise, Transformers themselves will show a little bit of seams when they're in robot form and things of that nature too, I've found.
Yeah, some of them definitely have little indications that they're a Transformer and not a real car. Though a lot of the G1 stuff is pretty solid. Later stuff, there are indications, like with Robot Masters, Optimus Prime and stuff, you can kind of see that this is not just a semi-vehicle. I'm waiting for more semi-jokes or,
Well, I'm trying to come up with some Prime ones, so. We'll just try to stay optimistic about it. So.
This is what I have to put up with all the time.
And cats.
Yes, well, we can take care of her with the energy axe. No, I'm actually very impressed with the detail with the accessories. I mean, the energy axe did not come with the original G1. I think there might have been one in the New Year's. With all the Masterpiece, they have them too.
I'll put him back into robot form real quick and we can see how he holds the energy axe. Excuse me, Sky. So, same thing as, as they say.
We're gonna race.
It's the reverse. We get his feet out and stand him up. Very carefully give him this.
I'm gonna be honest, this is a reissue, so it's in really good shape, and he's definitely comes with the extruded fists for the gun, but.
And as you can see, this separated in the process of transforming. So it is just something you have to be a little bit careful about. It's very easily where that one piece will just separate. Now he's turned around.
I do like the way that his hands actually form mud flaps for the tires rather than having to remove them like the original G1.
And they roll in, and then again, the legs have those clips, so you kind of give just a little pressure to separate. And he is posable. I mean, he's got the ratcheted arms, so you can, if somebody's robbing him. And then to get him to hold the Energon axe, that is where you have to take the hand off.
Which is kind of the same with a lot of the Masterpiece. So some of them actually flip in.
Okay, so that is Optimus holding the Energon axe, and it goes, it replaces his hand is how that works.
So he's got a little post there, a little stub.
Correct. And so it pulls out and this feeds into it, but when you take it out, you can see that is how that goes in. I personally like him with his blaster the best. I think that looks really good. And you just replace.
He used the energy axe once in the cartoon, and never again. Yet all these Optimus Primes have the energy axe.
And hand it to Lego. Lego is very meticulous when it comes to details and things like that. So they do kind of try to please the fans with things that they remember and give you some of those little extra options. And then we'll give him his gun back. Put his thumb down and his gun goes right in and snaps into place. And that's the nice thing about it too, is that you don't have to worry about the hand gripping or the gun constantly falling out. I know I've seen in a number of your videos, the guns have in fact been hard for the actual Transformers to hold very tightly.
Right, the original Optimus set did not have the extruded fists. The handle of the gun is back here, but it's actually the post that goes in, and it can be kind of hard to get that in on the original G1, so the extruded fists definitely help. And I think on my original Optimus Prime, I know I damaged it. I cut off this back handle just so he could hold the gun better.
Oh, really? Oh, I do remember that. And didn't you wrap plastic tape or something around one of the handles to thicken it up for...
Well, that was on a Optimus knockoff.
Gotcha.
It was a counterfeit.
So you had to knock it off. Yeah.
That's a wrap.
So that's your Optimus. His head does move as well. It's posable. Arms are very posable. Again, Lego's using their ratchet pieces to kind of, when you pose him, they will kind of lock into place. The joints will. It works pretty well. He doesn't have a bend at the knees, but then I don't think the G1 did either, did it?
The G1 did, but he can't move his leg forward, so he's like, he has the whole, I'm kissing somebody and my foot's going back type thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, not a lot of that kind of thing happening here. And I think in robot form, they do look very similar, I think, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, yours is taller, but, it's not all about size.
True. But they did capture the overall essence of what the G1 Optimus Prime looks like, I think, quite well.
And there's some details, like he just has like a metal, his lights on top of the cab are just like metal molded in there. You actually have, it's kind of cool, I can see you have transparent yellow pieces that inserted. So yeah, there's a lot of detail on this guy. And yeah, spending 5 hours, basically building it, probably more time than you spent with your Roboson Optimus Prime, even showing it off to friends. How many hours can you have him transform? And,
Lego to me has always been a very relaxing thing to just sit down, especially if it's a licensed build. I like to just put on what I'm doing, and you get the whole something nice to focus on. It's just very relaxing. But then when it's done, you have this really cool finished product. And I was really happy with the way this came out. I was very excited when they first announced that this was coming out. I was very anxious to see what it looked like. And then when they said, okay, it's actually going to transform, it's not going to be a thing where you have to partially disassemble it. For example, the Back to the Future car, you can build it all three ways, but you have to take pieces off and then replace it with other pieces in order to do that. I didn't know if they were going to do that, and they didn't. They really made this a true transformer. I'd like to see them to do maybe some other kits of Transformers.
Like Starscream!
Yes.
That would be nice.
And then you could stomp on him and have him break into pieces just like in the movie.
There is that wonderful meme where he's just a pile of loose Lego. Coronation Starscream. Yeah, I mean, the amount of detail, and plus, it's just the same. When I was younger, I played with Star Wars action figures, I played with other things that had vehicles, but you would have figures and then you need a vehicle for them to get anywhere. Transformers actually became the vehicles. And this guy, unlike a lot of Lego kits, which might have some moving pieces, but they're pretty much a static build, this actually has two forms, like the Transformer that it's modeled after. So it's cool. You can pretty much get two if you want.
Well, and I was also, if anybody is familiar with the Voltron Lego set that they did, that was very cool in the fact that you had to build all of the Lion bots individually first, and then at the end of the instructions it showed you how to attach them all together to build the robot version of Voltron. And so this is kind of a nice companion piece. It's not as big as the Voltron, but it is kind of a cool, I have them on display together at my house, and he is a very tall, I think he's almost 15 inches tall here when he's in robot form, so he's a pretty good sized robot.
So from what I understand, he has not yet sold out, so you can probably get him at the Lego store.
Lego.com still has them. The Lego store has had them in stock when I've gone in there. They are, I was honestly surprised. I bought this at midnight, right when it went on sale, and then I went to the Lego store the next day and bought one off the shelf because I was afraid that it would sell out, and I didn't want to wait the week it took to ship it. I really wanted to get at the build of it. So I went out and bought one, and then Captain Kyle took care of the other one for me. But yeah, as it goes, sat down that night, built it, and I thought for sure, I'm like, well, they're probably going to go out of stock like the Back to the Future car did, but they're still out there. So if you want one, definitely do it. And I think this is probably one that people are going to want for quite a while. If it'll have a collectible level of value to it, even once it goes into retirement. So
yeah, I'm sure it will eventually sell out, but they're still available. I'll put some links down in the description to the Lego store. You can probably get it at Walmart, I imagine.
I don't know. Walmart, I've not seen a lot of this is the Creator series, the Creator Expert series. And I see occasionally they show up at Barnes & Noble, and occasionally Target has them, but I've never seen Walmart carry, I don't think.
Because they don't think that you're that creative.
Yeah. And also, if you replace the wheels, I think you technically have retired him yourself too, so I'm just saying.
You see? Well, like I said, links in the description. If you decide to get this guy, I'd love to hear about your experience with him. And I will be putting him together. You said 4 to 5 hours. For me, it'll probably be 5 to 6, but I'll get him together. And again, if you want to see me do it as a speed build, please comment below. And while you're deciding whether or not you want this rather masterpiece size Lego set, there's some other videos over here. And there's caps running around here, and there's a subscribe button down there. You can also, if you'd like to support the channel, you can give us a super thanks. That would be great. We'll see you next time, and as always, have fun and good hunting.